There are different agendas that Pakistan has had as far as its role in the United Nations is concerned, and a lot of them have been achieved due to the diligent expertise of representatives that have represented Pakistan at the United Nations. We are in conversation with the current Pakistan's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Munir. Akram, thank you very much, sir, to have joined us in this forum. I'd like to begin with the basics of Pakistan's foreign policy vis-a-vis the United Nations. Do you feel that they remain unchanged this year as well, whether it be the support for Palestine, for Kashmir? What are the guidelines in your point of view to further these causes, and how successful has Pakistan been on the United Nations forum as far as these very practices is concerned?
Well, Pakistan's foreign policy is based on the principles of the UN Charter, the decisions of the Security Council, and international law. So this is an unchanging framework of Pakistan's foreign policy. Of course, we design our specific initiatives and specific actions to promote Pakistan's national interests. And these are very clear. These national interests are also constant. Of course, the tactics and details change as the international circumstances change. At the current moment, our priorities are, first of all, Kashmir and the prevention and deterrence of a very aggressive India. Secondly, to address the problems of terrorism, which arise from across our western borders and which are also sponsored by certain hostile countries. And thirdly, to promote economic and social development and to create the conditions in which the Pakistan economy can grow together with the economies of other developing countries. So these are the basic objectives and framework of our foreign policy, and I believe that this will remain constant going forward.
Munir Akram Sahab, I'd like to begin with the current cause that has besieged the world, and that is that of Palestine. On Palestine, you said last month, and I quote, in a high-level council debate on the Middle East crisis, we hope the council will be able finally to adopt a resolution demanding a complete cessation of hostilities, full access to humanitarian assistance for the besieged population of Gaza, and international protection for the Palestinian people. How important today, a month later, is the implementation of these very principles that you laid out under the current circumstances? Also, you have said that the behavior of the extremist Israeli leadership will consign the Middle East to perpetual conflict. Isn't this conflict unfolding as we speak?
Well, as it happens, today the Security Council will vote on a resolution that has been proposed by Algeria to call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and for provision of humanitarian assistance to the besieged people of Gaza and to promote a two-state solution. Unfortunately, it appears and has been declared that the resolution may not be adopted because of the veto which is likely to be exercised by one of the permanent members. There is, of course, another resolution which has also been submitted by the United States, which calls for a temporary pause in the fighting, which, of course, is not the best and most satisfactory solution. But this calls for a temporary pause in the fighting leading to a sustainable ceasefire. So I think the Security Council is making its efforts. If the resolution proposed by Algeria is vetoed, the matter will likely go back to the General Assembly, and in the General Assembly, Pakistan, together with other Islamic and Arab countries, will press for an immediate ceasefire. But as you know, the extremist government in Tel Aviv remains adamant in refusing any form of a ceasefire, and international pressure has to be accentuated and intensified in order to oblige them to accept a ceasefire. And this is the effort of Pakistan and other Arab and Islamic countries at the United Nations at the present time.
Mr. Munir, Akram, we are also seeing global geopolitics unveiling itself in the wake of this conflict, and also being more transparent as far as different countries' concerns towards this conflict is concerned. You have also demanded that Palestine be recognized as a full member of the UN and have stressed for a two-state solution to the problem. How important are these two to be implemented in this day? Do you feel there is a possibility this could happen?
Well, I think that there is a concerted move by Palestine, the Palestine delegation here together and supported by the Arab and Islamic countries, to seek full membership of the United Nations as a sovereign state. This is a move which will be important, because once Palestine is recognized as a sovereign state in the United Nations, that will create a diplomatic reality which will be difficult to reverse, which will be difficult for Israel to obliterate. And therefore, we think that is a sound move. There is also mounting consensus that the two-state solution is the only way in order to achieve a lasting and durable peace in the Middle East. Everyone agrees, except for the extremist leadership in Israel. And therefore, international pressure has to be mounted by all concerned, by the entire international community, to convince the Israeli government that the two-state solution is the only way towards peace. If they do not accept a two-state solution, there will be a perpetual turmoil and conflict in the Middle East.
From the Middle East, there's another issue also that is quite burning and which needs international pressure, and that is the cause of the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, a dispute that has been pending within the auspices of the United Nations since quite some time. Pakistan has always championed the cause, and you have been at the forefront of it since your stint as the permanent ambassador to the United Nations. What have been the highlights on this front last year, and what can be done this year?
Well, during the last year, we have raised the issue in the Security Council and the General Assembly several times. We have kept the Security Council fully informed of developments through letters addressed by the Foreign Minister to the Security Council. We have secured the adoption unanimously of a resolution on the legitimacy of the right of self-determination as it applies to peoples under foreign occupation, such as Jammu and Kashmir and Palestine. We have projected the human rights violations by India, both in the Security Council as well as in the Human Rights Council, and a number of the special rapporteurs of the UN Human Rights Council have asked India to be able to visit occupied Jammu and Kashmir in order to verify the reports of massive violations of human rights by India. The week before last, we held an international meeting here under the chairmanship of Pakistan on the right to self-determination of the people of Palestine and of Jammu and Kashmir. This is a burning topic at the moment because of what is happening in Gaza. And there is a growing recognition that the right of self-determination of the people of Palestine and of Jammu and Kashmir should be respected and should be implemented. This is what we have achieved this year. Next year, of course, we will, inshallah, be in a better position. We have a number of activities relating to Kashmir that are on our calendar, and we propose to initiate them. And of course, as you may know, Pakistan is a candidate this year for election to the UN Security Council, Inshallah, we will be elected in June to the Security Council and start our term from next January. And that will give us another advantageous position through which to propagate the cause of Jammu and Kashmir.
Speaking of in illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir and kind of diversifying a bit and entering India as a whole, Pakistan, through you, have urged the top official of the UN Alliance of Civilizations, Mr. Moratinos, to play their role for the protection of Islamic sites in India. You were addressing an OIC ambassadorial meeting at the United Nations headquarters in New York in January, where you said that the event in Ayodhya marked a disturbing rise in Hindu majoritarianism in India. Can there be some action taken in this regard by the United Nations?
Yes, we have proposed in our letters that the UN High Commissioner for the Alliance of Civilizations, who has the mandate to safeguard religious sites, that he take note of what has happened. We are asking the Secretary General as well as the High Representative that they should implement both the Declaration on the Protection of Religious Sites and the Plan of Action, which already exists for the protection of religious sites, that this Plan of Action should be activated. We will propose the preparation of a compendium of religious sites of all religions across the world, which may be under threat. This includes almost 1,000 mosques and religious sites in India, and we would call for the protection, international protection of these religious sites. So this is a work that is still in progress, and we hope that we will achieve our objectives and oblige India to take note of the international concern about what it is doing with regard to this pervasive policy of Hindutva, which is posing a threat not only to the Muslims of India, but to the entire Islamic legacy of India.
Finally, Munir Akram Saab, how has Pakistan's foreign policy directive been under the auspices of the United Nations towards Afghanistan? What are the expectations vis-a-vis Afghanistan as far as the United Nations and Pakistan are concerned?
Well, as you know, Pakistan and Afghanistan are close neighbors. We are linked by faith, by history, by culture, language, and so forth. So we are two countries whose destinies are intertwined. Afghanistan has gone through 40 years of war. That war has hopefully ended. There is one government in Kabul, and we have to find ways of promoting a good relationship with Afghanistan. We have problems because there are still terrorist groups in Afghanistan which operate from there and conduct terrorist actions against Pakistan. We will have to work very, very diligently, both through our intelligence-based operations, deterrence operations, as well as dialogue with the interim government in Afghanistan in order to finally put an end to these terrorist attacks against Pakistan. But having said that, we are completely sympathetic to the plight of the Afghan people. We have been in the lead to generate humanitarian assistance to them. Most of the assistance to Afghanistan goes through Pakistan. We are continuing that. We are supporting the economic revival of Afghanistan. We are supporting the connectivity projects which will utilize Afghanistan as a hub for transit trade between Central Asia, Pakistan, and West Asia. So we have a broad agenda with Afghanistan, and we are pursuing this very consciously and very deliberately.
Thank you very much, Mr. Munir Akram, Permanent Representative of Pakistan to the United Nations, to have joined us in this exclusive tete-a-tete, to have talked to us about the different concerns Pakistan has and how you have been highlighting those very issues in the United Nations since the last few months, and will continue to inshallah do so in the coming months. And of course, you are an extremely important input as far as Pakistan's perspective and highlighting Pakistan's perspective in the United Nations is concerned. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us.